What other options are there for Brock Purdy? Because I mean, obviously, we're talking about signing him to, a 5-year deal, 6-year deal, uh, possibly anywhere from 55 to 61 million. If you look at what Lombardi says, but what other options are available to do with Brock Purdy? Like, where else
Um,
can you go?
well, if they can't come to an agreement on the contract and then he starts holding out, and the Niners say we can't possibly meet his demands. I mean, if it gets to that extreme of a situation, the one place that I would look is Tennessee. Right now, they are debating whether they pick a quarterback or Abdul Carter at 1 overall. They want to
Mm.
pick Carter. I would. And would I take Carter over Cam Ward? Yeah, in a heartbeat. So if the Niners are at a point where it's just intractable and they can't come to an agreement with Brock, I think that's where you would turn, is you would turn to Tennessee
And you would
and
trade
say,
him.
and what kind of deal could we get? And you could look at that and say, okay, if we package Brock and a pick, third or a fourth, or whatever, we can get Jeffrey Simmons. We can get our two-way defensive tackle. And they were interested in Simmons at the deadline. They asked about him. They made an offer. So there's history there. Or the other thing you could do is just say that we'll offer Brock to you and a pick in hoping to get Tennessee's pick in the second, which is 35th overall. And that would be a huge value. That's where there's a lot of talent on the board. The sweet spot of this draft is late first, early second. That's where you want to be. So I could see them doing that. If it got to a point where they just cannot reach an agreement with Brock, then I think they would look to Tennessee and see what they can
Yeah, no, I think it's a viable option, and I think that when you look at what happened last year with Brandon Ayuk, that was handled poorly. They needed to wrap that up, sooner
get. Yeah.
rather than later, and they waited to the last possible minute to get that done. And I think that was at a detriment to their entire team, him and Trent Williams. It was like, man, you guys, let's get this wrapped up. And I think last year was the first year where they said, or I should say earlier this season, where they said, you know what, it'll be fine. These guys know the system. We'll get them in here. No need to worry. I think this offseason they realize they're going to go into it saying, hey, let's not let that happen again. That was atrocious.
Yeah.
And
They
then we
they
saw
need
Ayuk.
they need to learn from that.
Absolutely.
Look how it derailed the whole season. And because you
Yes.
didn't have the continuity in camp, nobody played together. So you had to develop the continuity in season, in game.
That's not good.
And you saw that in their execution. Yeah. Part of why the red zone offense failed early was because they didn't have that continuity going into the year. So they
Yeah.
have to learn from that and change.